Welcome back to Grit Gym, guys. Today we're talking about health, like always. But welcome back to Grit Gym, where we talk about health in terms of exercise, nutrition, mindset, and recovery. Health is your number one resource in this life. You are not going to get away from it, no matter what you do. And today we're talking about making it entirely up to you. We're talking about the biggest difference in the successful and the not successful in the health game, in fitness, in losing fat or performance or any endeavor that you set out to do in the exercise, nutrition, mindset, or recovery realm. Every single one of them has this component in it, and it's the biggest difference in the successful and the not successful. If you're just coming in, please take the time to slap the share button, send this out so that we get. It's pretty cool to think that if you share this, I'm live on on your page, and then if somebody else shares that, I'm live on their page. It's a pretty interesting idea how powerful social media can really become, and obscurity is Grit Gym's biggest obstacle. So we just want to help people as much as we possibly can. Our goal, the big thing around Grit Gym is to inspire the experience that you want to live. Everybody has a certain experience in this life, and it's the only thing that you're going to be able to take with you. What else? You're not going to be able to take your body with you. You're not going to be able to take your mind with you. You're not going to be able to take your money, your time, your relationships. You're not going to take any of that with you. You're going to take the experience that you had right here, right now. And my goal by the end of this half-hour talk that we do, and we do this every weekday at 12:30. My goal by the end of this is to get you to take 100% responsibility for 100% of your life. And I'm not trying to say that this is easy. I'm not trying to say that I'm perfect. Everything that I'm going to be talking about in this is extremely difficult to even see, let alone actually take the action upon that thing and challenge it in your own life. It's really, really hard to see this stuff. It's so easy to get caught up in the blame game, in the fault game, where you're getting superstitious. That's the word I was looking for. Where you get superstitious, that's blaming it on something else. There's also it just didn't go your way. Well, that's absolute bullshit, right? We're trying to get away from that. No, there's no luck in the talk today. It didn't go my way. There's no blame. Like for instance, when I lived in Minneapolis, there was this dog that got in the news because like a 5-year-old went downstairs to play with the dog, and the reason the dog was chained up downstairs was because it had mauled another kid in the neighborhood and put that kid in the hospital. Now, the reason it got in the news was after it mauled that kid, this 5-year-old walks downstairs. Terribly tragic story. Really, really sad. This is like, I don't know, 11 years ago now, 12 years ago. Anyway, the little boy, the dog kills the little boy. And so now we're getting into the responsibility game. If you're the parent and you're the owner of that dog, then you have responsibility for what that dog did. Now, what I said at the time was, what did you think was going to happen? What did these people think was going to happen with keeping this dog around? Why was that dog still there? And everybody that was in our group thought that I was talking about the breed of the dog. I was not talking about the breed of the dog. I was talking about a bad dog. I don't care what breed the dog is. You don't keep a dog like that around. Now, I grew up on a farm, so I'm a little bit different in how I look at animals, and I realize that. But at the same time, this is a tragic story that happened to this little boy, and responsibility, if you're looking at that, should have put the dog down. Should have put the dog down. When I was when I was a little kid, my best friend's dad had to do this because the dog growled at his little sister. That farmer, that guy, that dad was not going to I'm off on my story here. He was not going to take the chance that his little girl was going to get hurt by this dog. He went and put the dog down. He didn't want to do this. He had to do this. Okay, it's kind of Rach and I were watching a show the other day, and I can't stand seeing this. So I'm glad they didn't actually show it in the show. They just talked about it because anytime that happens where there's an abusive situation, I can't even watch the show or the movie. I just turn it off. So I'm watching the show, and they're alluding to this, and this woman is staying in this relationship where she gets abused over and over and over again. Now, the first time that it happened, that woman's a victim, right? No doubt about it. That woman's a victim. even if she asked for it, that guy has no place to sit there and abuse her, right? But then when it happens a second time, is that massive responsibility on her part? She could leave. I'm not trying to say that that's an easy thing to do. I realize this is a little hairy situation for me to even be talking about, but get out of there. Take responsibility for your life and get out of there. I'm not trying to say that things are going to be easy. I'm saying it's ridiculously hard to take this level of massive responsibility upon yourself, but you can apply that kind of this idea of massive responsibility, that you might be the victim the first time, but you're not the victim the second time, you're not the victim the third time, because you chose to stay where you were. That was what I was trying to get at. I know those were really nasty, awful, and kind of make you sick stories. I feel sick even talking about it. When I wrote them into my notes, I didn't really feel good about it, but now I feel even worse. But what are the big aspects of this? What are the big aspects of taking just massive 100% all-in responsibility of your life? Well, I'm going to tell you more of that at the end, but the awesome things are that there's less cheap drama. There's less cheap drama. When you take full responsibility for your life, you're going to start looking at things like when cheap drama does reap its ugly head. You can blame it on yourself, because you put yourself there. You're in the situation. Somehow you put yourself there. It's your responsibility to engage or not engage with that cheap drama, to keep that friend that always engages in cheap drama. Well, you put yourself there. You choose to be there. So massive responsibility. If you are the root cause of all of your life, then you can change your surroundings, and you don't have to stay wherever it is you are, in the relationships that you are in. And I mean that not just your relationship with other people. I mean your relationship with your body. It can change. Everything can change. It can improve is probably a better word than change. Now, if you think of the implications of this, there's less negative people in your life. You're going to be more positive just because you are around less negative people, and just because you took full responsibility for your life. Now, if you're being negative, who's at fault for being negative? You are. So what are you going to end up doing? Being more positive. You're going to feel better. You're going to be better at all the things that you care about. You're going to be healthier. You're going to have more money because you probably got a raise at work, or you gave yourself a raise because of one reason or the other. More people wanted to do business with you, or you got that raise at work. But you're also going to be probably spending less money because you're looking for less things to validate you, to make you feel better. And you end up with better friends, better relationships with the friends that you do want to keep. You also have more energy. You have better health. You sleep better. Your workouts are better. You eat better. You are the captain of your ship, and not at the whims of the world's bullshit, right? So these are good things. I mean, me personally, I want these things. So when it comes down to talking about this stuff, I think the thing that we have to look at is, how do we take more responsibility, but also how do we assess where we're not taking responsibility? So the rights and wrongs, right? Like, I'm not perfect. I'm not trying to say that I am. I've used I worked through, for many years, I lived a very normal life. But at some point, I think, for instance, if you're in my atmosphere, well, if you're here to be normal, then you're probably in the wrong place. Normal isn't that sought after awesome thing that everybody seems to think that it is. I would much rather be an anomaly, to be an outlier, a weirdo, whatever you want to call it, than to be normal. Normal sounds like the worst thing that anybody could possibly be. So with the rights and wrongs, I'm not perfect. I've blamed the economy on business stuff. I've blamed coaches. I've blamed my parents. I've blamed my genetics. I've blamed ADD and dyslexia and learning disabilities. I blamed personality traits. I've blamed bad behavior, which is a really silly one if you think about that. It's my behavior, and I'm blaming that, and I'm not taking responsibility for it. It's mine. Do you see how sneaky all this stuff gets? And I was playing the blame game in the past. Now, these are also lies. All these things, all these blame games, once you start assessing the things that you're putting blame on, like, I get sad when it rains. What the hell is that about? So you're making a plan to be sad whenever it rains? Or it's not my fault because, or anything. You made me mad is one of the ones that you're breaking my heart. You're whatever it is. It's like, who's doing that to you? You're doing that to you. No one has ever been inside of here but you. Everything that you do, you create your own experience. And I'm not saying that from a spiritual, you can take that as spiritual, but really stop and think about that as logical as possible, as you possibly can. Everything that happens in here, you had to create. Everything that's happening in your atmosphere, you had to take in. You had to see the light that was bouncing off of your screen to your eye and negotiate that in your mind to make sense of what is actually of the picture here. Then you had to take the words and you had to put them or take them in the order that they were coming in, the sounds that they are, and articulate them into this sentence that made sense to you so that you could incorporate that. And that's just at the very just top surface level of the whole experience. And then you can go deeper and deeper into that and how your mind actually does this. So the experience that happens is all created within your mind. And if you can look at that, now we can start thinking of things just a little different, because we can take full responsibility. You are the captain of your own ship, which means that you are not at the whims of all the world's bullshit. Okay, it's all up to you. And the rights and wrongs, I'm not trying to say that I'm perfect. I'm not at all. It's really easy to get caught up in this stuff. But all of these things, all that blame stuff, those are all lies. It's a lie that the economy was bad in 2007, and that's why I was only making, or why that when I worked 120 hours in this 2-week time frame. And I got paid $159, okay? And I blamed it on the economy. That's bullshit. That was a lie. What else was there? Coaches. I blame that I didn't have, when I was in college, I blamed that the coach and I didn't get along, of which we didn't. But if I had taken full responsibility, maybe I would have found a way to have a better relationship with that coach. We wouldn't have butted heads. I wouldn't have been pissed off all the time. Maybe he was pissed off at me because I was pissed off all the time. Maybe that was something. I could have taken full responsibility for it. ADD and dyslexia are two things that I've pointed to, that I've pointed to in past videos before. And they're really easy for kids to blame the drugs. The drugs make me different, and the drugs might make you a little different, but I think what's really going on there is the drugs end up representing this very physical thing of, hey, I'm going to take my not good enough pill today. It's blame. It's not taking responsibility. Blame my genetics. If I just had that guy's genetics with my work ethic, I'd be in the NFL. I can't tell you how many times I've said that one. That's bullshit. It's all based on a lie, and the lie is based on a false truth. Okay, the truth that we all have, that fear of not being enough, and it all goes back to that. I was just like everybody else in the past, making this huge error, just like you guys are doing in yours, just like everybody does. And I'm not trying to point the finger. Everybody does this. There's nobody that is exempt from this. Even if you look at, even if you're Christian, you look at Christ, he got pissed off in that church, started throwing tables all over the place because that lady gave 100% of what she had and everybody else gave like 1/10 of what they had. So, he threw that huge fit. Well, he was afraid that he was anger. He said, what all of you gave wasn't enough, is what he said. He was afraid he wasn't enough to get them to tithe what he thought they should. Right? And we look at him and we're like, oh, he didn't live in, this is if you're religious, or if you're not religious, the story is that he never sinned, right? Well, maybe that's not a sin, but he did have the fear that he was not enough. And he also doubted. When he's on the cross, he says, Father, why have you forsaken me? He doubted. That's the story anyway. Father, why have you forsaken me? In one of the Gospels, he doubted his own agenda or his own fate or whatever, his own purpose in life. So everybody has this fear of not being enough, and when you get into the blame game, that's exactly what's happening. And really, when it comes down to it, how could you find out who you are if you're afraid of finding out that you're not enough? You'll never find out your true, authentic self that way. You won't blow off the front and the mask and the bullshit that keeps you in the life that you are. And I realize this is like, what's he talking about here? What's he talking about? But if you're afraid that you're not enough, how are you going to get to know you? Why would you want to get to know a person that is afraid that they're enough not to be known? It wouldn't work out very well. So there's three big mistakes. There's three big mistakes that I notice that people make with the biggest difference. The ones that do really, really well don't make these mistakes as much as the people who don't do it as well. So number one is the unwillingness to learn or be taught. Two different things. Two very different things. So the unwillingness to learn and the unwillingness to be taught. See, a teacher can do their absolute gut-wrenching best to really pour information onto somebody, to teach them as best as they possibly can, to use the best methods. And maybe they did use the best methods, not just the best methods that they had, but the best methods. And they got through and they nailed it. And this person did not put in the effort to learn what was being taught, then nothing will ever happen, right? So there's this episode of Leave It to Beaver that I watched. I think it's the only episode of Leave It to Beaver that I've ever seen. But the little boy finds out that I think that's Beaver. I think it's Beaver is the little boy in the show. Anyway, he finds out that they're having some money issues, so he goes and spends all the money that he has saved up on this book that is about how to become a millionaire, so that his dad can learn from that book and they can be millionaires and they won't have money issues anymore. So he's coming up with a solution, like good kid, right? But his dad puts it on the shelf and never reads it. And it upsets the little kid, so he goes and he asks his dad, like, hey, why didn't you read this book? And his dad says, if this guy is a millionaire, why does he have time to write a book? And if he has time to write a book, when did he have time to earn the millions? And Leave It to Beaver's like, okay, that makes sense, gives up on the idea, and then it goes into some other lesson. But that's the bullshit. That's the most bullshit lesson. Like, this is why you read the book, dumbass. Like, the dumbass meaning the dad. Like, you read the book to figure out how that guy made $1 million and had the time to write the book. That's why you read the book. So you should have read the book. What harm could it have done? You just taught your kid a terrible lesson, blaming a situation, or not taking full responsibility for a situation and being unwilling to learn or be taught. So number two is the poor me, people who write FML on things, which means fuck my life. I have it so bad to never get what I want. I never get what I want. Things just don't go my way. If anything bad is going to happen, it does happen. Those kind of people, we've all heard those kind of people, but some people can't figure out exercises. And this is a real thing. This happens quite a bit in the gym. So when people first start, I think that they're processing so much information that they have a really hard time learning the exercise, which that's okay. That's understandable. That's why we have to make it super, super simple at first. That's why I have a rule with all the coaches at Grit Gym that if it takes you longer than 60 seconds to teach and for them to learn an exercise, you're on the wrong exercise. You got to scale back, make it more simple. Because it's too much information. They'll never get it. But a lot of that is because there's this huge amount of external focus and not much internal focus. And it's the same thing in the blame game. If you don't internally focus, look at the person in the mirror and take a good hard look at that and go internal and be like, what can I do with my life? Then it's very, very difficult to also come back to the external. You have to have both of those going on, and sometimes you're going to be more internally focused, sometimes you're going to be more externally focused. When you, for instance, meditate, you're trying to go 100% internal focus. You're trying to look at you as best as you possibly can and scale back the layers. The ogres have onions, or ogres are like onions. They have layers in cake, right? So the poor me, the I have it so bad, the never get what I want, this is the blame game. And there's just not enough internal focus there. There I go, using those words, not enough. People can benefit by practicing internal and external focus. So and for instance, I hear people use the blame that someone else pushed them off course. No one can push you off course. You allowed yourself to go off course, or you got off course. It's your responsibility. And then number three is an unwillingness to get help. And that kind of goes in with number one, but an unwillingness to get help. If you can't allow yourself to be helped, you're going to have a tough time. You're going to have a tough time. The best thing that you can possibly do is get a coach who is going to challenge you. Really, when we get down to coaching, a coach's job is not necessarily to well, a coach's job is not to do it for you. Nobody is ever going to be able to do it for you. The coach's job is to challenge you so that you grow from that challenge. The coach's job is not to do it for you. And there's a shared responsibility with this learning and teaching thing. The teacher, the leader, the coach, the personal trainer, the parent, whatever. You give everything that you're all in, giving 100% of what you have to that to be the best teacher possible so that they can learn the best. But they also have to be 100% all in on learning, because no one can learn for you. No one can do it for you. No matter what, no one's ever going to learn for you. Ever. No one's ever going to learn for you. No one's ever going to be able to do it for you. It would be like asking someone to go to the bathroom for you. It'd be pretty weird. Hey, can you go to the bathroom for me? Try it. It's not going to work, right? You have to do it. Same thing with learning. Same thing with exercise. You have to do it. So the three big takeaways that are just like across the board, always with the successful people, is they take massive responsibility. They get 100% responsibility for their life, and they get extremely clear on what that responsibility means. So if you're saying you made me mad, no. You pushed me off course, no. Those are things that's the blame game. And it's not going to get you where you want to go. It's not going to get anybody where they want to go. And I realize this is really hard to hear for the people who are so stuck in this mindset that it can be somebody else's fault. But the more responsibility you take, the more all the good stuff can happen. Number two is they earn it. They earn 100% of what they go for. The big takeaway of the successful is that they earn it. They put in the work and they do it themselves. You can get help. You can be taught. You can learn not the easy way. You can learn the most strategic way possible. You can work really, really smart, but ultimately you have to earn it. And then the third thing is they question to understand. When we understand, we build clarity, and everybody wins, right? So when you can understand me and I can understand you, then let's say we have a different perspective. Let's say we even disagree. Now I have expanded my perspectives, so I expanded my intelligence, and so did you. So we both won in that scenario. If you make it a questioning to challenge, then it becomes a competition, and basically everybody loses, because in the exercise realm, it's a cooperative relationship. So, curious what you guys. We got about 5 minutes left. What did you guys get out of it? You can write in the comments later. You can send me a DM. Any situations where you see this would be really cool. If you can put in the comments any situation where you've noticed that somebody doesn't take responsibility for where they are in life, or what and how they said it. What's the quote? The ones that I hear the most often are, "I got pushed off course by," or "the weather is always a really good one," or "I know I won't do it if," you made me fill in the blank. Those are some of the ones that I hear the most often. But there's no such thing as luck. Luck is total bullshit. There are fortunate events. Things can go, but you have to work kind of like that. I think it's the Thomas Jefferson quote that the harder he works, the luckier he gets. Or is it more lucky? I think it's luckier. But you have to put yourself in a position to be lucky. You have to be prepared for the time that you do get the opportunity. If you never work for it, you're never going to get it. It all comes, everything, like no one's going to do it for you ever. It's never going to happen. You have to go for it. So, and all of this stuff that we're talking about today, it's all based on a lie. The blame game is 100% based on a lie. It's based on the false truth that you're not enough. And if you can't face up to the idea that you're afraid that you're not enough, and you can't look at that and frame it and see it as a lie, then you will always be terrified to go and explore that, and then you'll always be at the whim of not being enough. You'll fall back to your own fate and your own bullshit and your own behaviors and your own habits, and things won't go your way. But if you can be so courageous as to confront that fear of not being enough, and you can get help along the way in doing this too. That's how I learned about all this stuff, because I wanted to map my mind so that I didn't just keep living the same experience over and over and over again, because that's what was happening. About every 2 years, I lived the same experience. every 2 years with the same experience over and over and over again, and it sucked. It sucked so bad. And so I was like, well, I'm the common denominator. Let's do something about it, because it has to be something up here. I've been taking care of my mind, or I've been taking care of my body, I've been working really hard. What's going on? Found out all this stuff about the fear of not being enough, and now I'm here teaching it, right? So I hope you guys got something out of this. Please take the time, click the share button, send this out. If you like it, your face goes across the screen for me, and it's really cool. So I hope that you guys can, if you just sit there and pound it out, it really like sends like a cloud of them across the screen. But thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow. I think we have an interview tomorrow, but I'm not positive about that. I hope so. We're a little short on interviews here recently, but thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. See you guys soon.